It's the Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by ANZ Home Loans for financial well-beings.
And welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Breakfast as we talk property news 7 days a week. Got to be a great day today. We have hit another Friday as we work into the weekend. And of course, you'll hear us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon. Yes, it is July the 5th today, and the Darwin property market. Now, that has seen only a modest growth over the past financial year. That is according to the latest PropTrack Home Price Index. The median home price in Darwin increased by just 2.63% in the 23-24 calendar year, bringing the median price to $477,000. Now, this growth was primarily driven by the house market, where the average cost of a detached house rose by 4.06%. That now is sitting at $558,000 over the last year. And in contrast, the median unit price, now that fell by 1.26%. That is now the median unit price is sitting at $375,000. But despite the recent slow growth, Darwin home prices have surged. We should remember this because it surged just over 29% since the onset of the pandemic, showing significant long-term appreciation. Now, we're going to catch up this morning with Eliza Bennett from Real Estate Central in Darwin. And a very good morning to you, Eliza. Welcome to the Real Estate Breakfast. We've been talking about these cooler mornings, like talking in Geelong and also in Melbourne. Cold, cold, cold. But you're not really suffering those conditions as much.
Oh, it's 22 degrees this morning, so I think I'm going to wear my jumper this morning.
22 degrees, gee, that's a nice temperature. In fact, that's probably the perfect temperature to be waking up to. I think everybody's a bit soft up there if they're putting jumpers on, aren't they?
Yeah, it hits below 30 and everyone gets a little bit chilly. They don't want to use their pools or anything.
Wow. Okay. So now you're from an organisation that you were telling me off air, you got quite a number of people working there at Real Estate Central.
Yes, we sure do. There's about 60 of us working at Real Estate Central, so we do have a big office.
Now, what have you sort of noticed here? Because as we have a look at these prices, as I mentioned, Darwin with all dwellings, that is sitting at $477,000, but the Darwin houses, that's still sort of ticking along, 4.06%, $558,000. Still represents a lot of great value. Darwin units, as I mentioned, slightly down, $375,000. It's little wonder that people are still moving into Darwin with some of these median prices.
Yeah, no, that's correct. The housing price is quite great compared to down south, I suppose. For what you can get with the value for the medium house price, people are moving in straight away. They're getting a pool, whereas, that's $1 million in Sydney. But the medium house, the unit price, that's pushing down the overall medium house price.
So what's been happening over the last couple of months as you see it there in Darwin with those inquiries coming from interstate, as you say? People are still making the inquiries. Is it still as strong as ever?
I wouldn't say it's as strong as ever, but we're definitely seeing more of an influx of people from interstate coming and more interstate investors looking at even units to buy, as our rent up here is quite high, so they're getting a good yield.
Now, you were saying that there's a number of these rental properties that your organisation is representing. So how is that rental market looking?
Yeah, no, it's really quite expensive to rent at the moment here in Darwin. So people are kind of turning towards just purchasing a property themselves.
And what about people that can't afford to do that? Where would they be going as a result of those rental increases?
Well, look, the unit price, they're more likely then to, downgrade from what they have to be able to get a unit for themselves. As, units are kind of going at $550 per week for, 2-bedroom properties, which is quite expensive to pay per week for not the average family. So, yeah, they're more likely to purchase, a unit.
And in terms of those numbers, sort of like, with a rental property, are there still plenty of people sort of walking in, taking a look like, some of these other areas around the country, massive amounts of people trying to get a rental?
Yeah, I think we're definitely not as big as, we don't have lines out the door and lines down the street, but we're definitely seeing people coming in. We get in Darwin, a lot of tourists, a lot of backpackers that want, the 6-month lease and then 12-month leases. Yeah, we're still getting a bit of an influx of them.
And what about with regard to all of the building that is taking place? Because there's some major projects in Darwin at the moment and probably influencing the local property market. Of course, many people coming from outside the area, a lot of these contractors moving to Darwin. How's all that impacting?
I think slowly it will impact. We've just got the new city campus for the Charles Darwin University. That would probably be finished, I think, at the end of the year or with next year. So I definitely think people will slowly start to move to Darwin. We're not seeing it, I don't think, as yet, but I do think slowly people will start to move to Darwin. We are the cheapest or most affordable capital city in Australia, so why wouldn't you want to live here?
Yeah, it's a nice bragging right, that the most affordable capital city in the country is Darwin. A lot of first home buyers, of course, and that was my next question. How many of those are you seeing at the moment?
Oh, heaps. I think more people are also organising to get their finance approved more quicker as well, we're seeing. And we're also seeing more offers at the moment coming in more quicker, especially for houses that are priced right and in the market.
And what about just sort of south? If you go, I don't know, sort of 300, 400 Ks south of Darwin, how many of those areas are you picking up with people moving in? I mean, I'm thinking of the likes of a Rockhampton, etc.
People from, Katherine as such, they probably stay back down there because of work. And we're more likely seeing people from, down south coming up for work purposes.
Yeah, work is always going to drag people in from all corners of Australia. Eliza Bennett, we are talking to her from Real Estate Central there in Darwin. We will come back and talk more property in just a moment.
Every morning from 6 a.m. across Australia, we deliver you the latest property news, commentary and predictions from Perth to Cairns and from Melbourne to Brisbane, 7 days a week, only on the Real Estate Podcast.
Well, I see that last month, the cost of renting a home reached new highs, with median advertised rents on realestate.com.au rising by 3.2% in capital cities and 3.9% in regional areas. Year on year, city rents have increased by 10.3% and regional rents by 8%. Home buyers face similar challenges as PropTrack's Home Price Index shows a 1% quarterly rise and a 6.6% annual increase. In fact, if you look at Greater Perth, that has seen the most dramatic increases, with median rents up by 18.2% and home prices rising by 22.5% across the last 12 months. And last year, Australia's population grew by just over 650,000. Now, that is creating a demand of just over 260,000 homes, but only 172,000 were built, resulting in a national shortfall of over 87,000 homes. New South Wales and Queensland, now that saw only 63 and 60% of needed homes built, respectively, respectively, while Victoria and South Australia met 75% and 86% of their needs. So you can see the shortfall, and Tasmania and the ACT get a gold star because they exceeded their requirements, leading to falling rents and stable property prices. So it just goes to show it can be done.
We help to break down real estate every day to help you better understand the Australian property market.
And it is a Real Estate Friday. We are catching up this morning with Eliza Bennett from Real Estate Central there in Darwin. And Eliza, how long have you been doing the real estate thing?
About 2 years now.
And how are you finding it?
Love it. It's amazing.
What made you want to get into being a real estate person?
I was originally a nurse, so I kind of took that empathy that I liked giving to people, and I kind of put that into real estate. And yeah, I just love the flexibility, making people happy and giving people, what they want.
Gee, that's a big change, isn't it, from being a nurse? What do your other nurse friends say about you going into the real estate industry?
Oh, they think I'm crazy. You have to work hard. It's not easy. So as much as what nursing is, it's, the long hours and everything. But, you do have to work hard in real estate. It is not all show and tell, I guess.
Now, in terms of working as a nurse, very, very hard profession. They work for every single dollar, of course, that they earn. How much of the money aspect was on your radar turning to real estate?
Oh, it was. I was working, 12-hour shifts, especially through COVID during that time. So the money was great. I've definitely taken a bit of a pay cut from there, but I think the flexibility that real estate has and what it can provide, it just suited my personality a lot more.
Well, when you say that you've taken a bit of a cut, of course, this is your apprenticeship, I guess, in some ways. This is you sort of changing career pathways. And hey, who knows, in the next 2 years, you could be doubling what you were getting as a nurse.
That's right. So, you just got to do the hard work now, and hopefully it all works out.
All right then, Eliza. Well, thanks for coming on to the Real Estate Breakfast this morning. Congratulations too on moving into the real estate market, having been a nurse, having worked all of those crazy hours, putting yourself on the front line. Now you're on the front line, of course, as a real estate agent. And thanks for coming on to the Real Estate Breakfast this morning. Really appreciate it.
No, thank you very much for having me.
You can join the conversation every week on the Real Estate Podcast.
Adam, this has got to be great news, for people with, let's say, first home buyers in those new apartments.
It's going to be fantastic news, Craig. I can tell you now there's a lot of people out there that are really hoping for that rate cut. And I think first home buyers and people that are owning their own homes alike, they're really going to be looking forward to that news.
Yeah, so you mentioned the new financial year. I mean, just how much more stock do you think will come onto the market as a result of that?
Well, I think we'll see a lot of investors that start to really consider about realising the capital gains and the wealth creation they've had with the increase in prices over the last 12 months. I think they'll come to market. We're certainly seeing a lot more appraisals, a lot more going on in the back end. But I think, again, that new financial year, people will start to reassess their position financially and, start to decide, can I upgrade or do I want to downsize my house? So I think there'll be a lot more properties that start to hit the market in the July and August period.
We connect you to the best real estate information across Australia. The Real Estate Podcast.